Okay, and where were you born, Linda?
I was born in Des Moines, Iowa.
Wow.
I was raised there and did not leave there until I was 18.
Oh my goodness. So how did you get in Morton?
I had gone to school when I did leave Des Moines. I went to the University of Iowa in Iowa City, met and married a young man there, and we moved here due to his job in 1980.
Wow.
At that time, we had 4 children. We had a boy, 13, 3 girls, 11, 8, and 3.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness. So were you born in a hospital?
I was born in a hospital. I
Oh.
was born in a hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're actually, as far as you personally, this is the first generation that's lived in Morton.
Absolutely. And in fact, when this interview came up, I wasn't sure I qualified because most of the people in Morton have lived here a really long time, and I'm just from 1980.
Wow. So do your children live in Morton?
No, but one of them, Ron, the oldest one, and his wife Marie, their 3 kids live in Bloomington Normal. The other ones, they went 1 to Colorado and 2 to Pennsylvania, but they love to come back here.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. So what is your ethnic background?
My dad, I'm probably like 99.6% German. Because my dad was he was 2nd generation German here. And my mom, she snuck a little Scotch-Irish in there.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a little bit about how, because we all know you as being at the library.
Yeah.
Could you tell us how you came to be at the library?
Yes. Well, literally God put me here. It was wonderful. It happened at a time when my husband left the family and I needed to make some money, and he had set a certain amount that I needed to make, so I needed to get a job where I could make enough money minus the babysitting that it would be what I was making before when I was working at Kmart, because I came right when Kmart opened.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and actually Chief Hilliard was a security man with me when he was a young man at Kmart. We have some good memories from that. So I applied for everything. I just applied for everything. In fact, I was mad at God for making me go to work, sort of. And so I sort of yelled at him and said, "All right, I'm applying for everything. You pick it." Well, I loved the library, and always have loved the library. Janice Sherman was the director then, and I went in to interview with her, and it was kind of a quick interview that I hadn't really prepared for, but I had on good clothes because I had just interviewed at a bank. And so I thought, well, I'll stop in and see if that job's still open. So she asked me in the interview, what was your favorite job? What have you done that was your favorite job? Well, my husband's family owned a seed store in Iowa City. And I said, the best thing I loved was to have this bulk seed bunch of jars behind me and in the counter in front of me, like bulk green beans, bulk lima beans, all the seeds that you would need for a really great garden. And I said that was my best job. It was to have somebody come up and say, I'd like to plant a garden, I'd like to do green beans, but we're going to be on vacation in August. And I'd go, Blue Lake will get you there in 49 days, and that will make it not August. And Janice looked at me and she said, that's reference work. You're taking the person's need and you're connecting them with the resources and the knowledge that you have. And I went, well, I really like that. And I really did. That was my very favorite part of helping people here, was the very favorite part. So I needed to get a job, that was going to make this certain part of money, and God provided free babysitting for me from Peg Sellers. She would babysit with my little Sandra, who was 3, for free, and when I was off, and I would babysit for her twins, who were 2. So it worked out really well. It really worked out, and I loved it, always loved it. Plus, here's this can end up as a Christian testimony, but I'll tell you what, you think about it. I was a single mom with 4 kids at home. Chaos, noise, craziness, lots of busyness. Where did he put me? In a quiet, orderly place. New to Morton, did not know anybody in the town. He put me in a place where I had a name tag that told everybody my name, and they handed me cards that told me their names. Is that cool or what? He is so loving and kind. So I loved that. Got to know the community really fast. Learned not to wear short shorts to the Kroger because I didn't want to give the library a bad name. It was fun. It was great. It really was.
Great.
But started off down in the storefront across from, what's in there now?
Across from what?
I can't remember.
Across from what?
Oh, it's Lulu's.
Mm-hmm.
It's Lulu's on Main is in there
Dairy
now. Across from the Dairy Queen. Yeah, across from the Dairy Queen. So I was in there and just starting out with the library, and I'll tell you a story. Oh, I'm full of stories. Lula ruling. The library had never had its own building. They always were renting, but they were trying to make a place. And so they were getting all the funds ready, and they had the plans, and they had bought this land, and it was good. And Miss Lula Ruling, God bless her, she wanted to honor her dad, and who was a real mover and a shaker, very much so, in the community. And he had passed on, and she wanted to have a meeting room named after him. So she said, I will build the meeting room, and I will carpet it, but you will have to put the furniture in it. So I'm a new little person at the library. It's in the evening. There's only one other person in the whole library because we are real small. That person was eating. Miss Lula Ruling comes tripping in on her little high heels, and she hands me a check. Here's the first payment on my ruling room payments, and she hands me a check for $10,000. I couldn't get it out of my hand fast enough. I'm like, Jerry Curious, where are you? Please come here. Get it out of my hand. So it was great. It was really great. Then we had some interesting customers in those days, but they were all lovely. But there was one gentleman who's come in and fall asleep. So at night, when we would be ready to close that night, we'd have to sort of start from a long ways away. Sir, it's time to go. You could wake up now, because you don't want to just startle somebody, like that. And another story from that particular place that I remember is the time when right next door was the Tornado Siren. And one night it went off, and it had never happened before. And we went, oh, whoa, we've got to go to the basement. So we all, I think there were 3 or 4 of us, ran out the door. Did we check for customers? No. We ran out the door, ran down the stairs into the basement. The cobwebs were just so disgusting, and it was padlocked. So we ran back up the stairs to find the key to the padlock to the basement, which was going to keep us safe. All this time, so we're like increasing our stress level like you wouldn't believe it. Anyway, we found the key and we ran downstairs and opened that door, and the cobwebs inside that room were even worse, but we were like, okay, we're going to blow away otherwise. Whoa. We looked at each other when we got down there and we went, we left Mr. Nicholson in adult fiction. Oh my goodness. We better go upstairs and get Mr. Nicholson. So, because we're a small library, we knew where people were, you know. So we run back upstairs. This is like our third or fourth time up and down the stairs. And we said, Mr. Nicholson, the tornado siren is going off and we're down in the basement. Would you like to come down with us? And he said, no, my wife is shopping at Witsig's. I'll just stroll up, you know. I'll just stroll up to Witsig's and secure my wife. So he went, and we all ran back downstairs till the all clear, you know, till it stopped going. But that was a pretty bad safety flub up on our. Needless to say, that didn't happen very often. We're really glad. It was too crazy. So then they were moving to this library. And that was so exciting because they never had their own building. They had bought this land. Lula Ruling was there at the groundbreaking, and many of the older librarians that had been for a long time. That was very exciting. And we built this place, and it was, we had very little furniture in the other place. We had a brand new library, and we had stacks, we had shelves to put the books on, but we had no furniture, no tables, no chairs particularly, and certainly no computers, not at all. And that library only consisted of the front half of this building, so where the double doors are that connect the two wings. And the children loved it because they would come in the front door and they would look and they would go, infinity space, and they just go crazy, just running to the back of the library. Their mothers would be running after them and trying to catch them. We were really sad to put furniture in here and interrupt their fun, but it was good. We got some. We got a fund going, and we had some furniture.
So how many times did you have to move?
To move when that I was involved in? Just from the across from the Dairy Queen, the storefront. They called it the storefront. That was all that I was involved. Now, I mean, they moved a lot. The library itself moved from several rental places, and one burned down.
Oh my!
I mean, it was.
So when they did the remodel, you were here.
Here I was here, and
the addition, I guess.
Yes, it was the addition, and that was in 1998. And we had been doing everything we could to make good use of the space. You know, we'd try to go up, use the vertical space and all that kind of stuff. But it really was a losing battle because we wanted, you know, to have books and lots of other materials for the people. So the nice thing, and I really want to give credit to the library boards, they did not have to float any taxes. No tax referendums were ever required because they got grants or they had saved. And the same thing with this new remodel here. There was not any referendum floated for that. The boards have been fiscally conservative. The librarians have been taught to be frugal and to make the best use of things. We have been very blessed by a public who reads. Oh boy, does Morton read. And you know, they'll buy new books, if they don't want to wait for them, sometimes they want them hot off the press, and then they give them to us. And we don't have to buy extra copies. So we're really, really good. And then the extra ones that we have, we put in the book sale, which I heartily encourage everybody to buy. Buy from the book sale.
Great.
So it's really good. But when this edition was put on, we used that opportunity to change the wall coverings in the original edition and the carpeting. And we put the carpeting throughout. It was the same throughout, and the wall coverings were the same throughout. And the same thing happened with the furniture. We had, I think it was $100,000 we were hoping to get, and we got from people who donated. Oh, it was really good. The first opening of the first section of the library, Governor Jim Edgar came, and he was the main speaker and the main honorary person. And when we had the opening of this, the Secretary of State came. So we were excited about that very much. But we are the right size for the amount of people that we have in Morton. This library has the right square footage so far. But it's going to get tighter and tighter because we are adding people to our, I don't know what the census says now, but the more that we add, the bigger the library's got to be, because there's a certain ratio that you need to have. And Morton reads. Oh boy, when I first came, our director was forced to buy 8 to 10 copies of any bestseller because the people were absolutely, I want that book and I want it now. And then they would, they'd be very happy with the library. And they would say, thank you very much. And then we could take the extras and sell them and use the money to buy new ones. So
tell me about the transition from the card catalog to digital.
Well, in the first place, whenever Janice, she was the director for 34 of the 37 years that I worked here. And I always said, Janice is a visionary. And so she would have this wonderful idea, and she would tell me about it, and then she would take me by the hands, and I would dig my heels in. There'd be big black marks on the linoleum and the carpet from her dragging me along, because I always was like, no, that's never going to work. That's not good. No, it's never. It always worked. It always was right. So I was, I guess, the devil's advocate kind of a assistant to her. But yeah, it was. Well, Jeanette Godin was then the person that was keeping that up. And I don't know that people know that when we got a new book, we got 3 cards that had to be filed into that card catalog. And when anybody threw away a book or spilled coffee on a book or it disappeared for whatever reason, somebody had to go in and take those 3 cards out of. And it was not only, there are 2 things. One is called the card catalog, and one is called the shelf list. The shelf list shall never be violated. It is the actual running record of the library's stuff. So what's in the shelf list is what the library actually has. Now out here, that is for the public, and it's got 3 cards for each book and so forth. When they proposed taking out the card catalog, I said, no problem. I will take it home and put it in my basement. And Jeanette said, right, friend. And are you going to keep it up? So I finally had to give in. And of course it worked. My black heel marks were very deep at that time, but it was great. Yeah.
But for us that are older, the card catalog was your heart. I mean, oh my goodness, I just spent lots of time. It's in the card catalog.
Absolutely, we did, and it took a while to go from digital. But Janice was, as I said, she was a visionary. She would see where things were going. I mean, she could see it ahead of time.
Yeah.
And she said, it's going to be all right. Mm-hmm. It's going to work. It's going to be all right. So she'd be a small library that would try things that big libraries were maybe a little afraid to do. And then if it worked for her, then the rest of them would say, yeah, this is good.
It's great.
And that is one thing, too. The library is a part of the Resource Sharing Alliance, which is a card catalog online. Mm-hmm. But I can see not only what I have in my card catalog, I can see what Pekin has, I can see what Washington has, I can see what Fond du Lac has, I can see what Tremont has, because we all share one big digital catalog. So that is so handy and so wonderful for the people. Yeah. And the digital way to look things up, the computer enables you to search in such a more thorough way. Yes. Maybe maybe you're looking for Mr. Pudgeons, and it's spelled Pudgins. If you just get on a regular card catalog, you'd have to know it was Mr. You'd have to know to look in the M's. Yeah. Especially if you didn't know the author. Mm-hmm. But if you're on a card catalog that is digital, all you have to do is type in Pudgeons. The computer goes out, looks for Pudgeons everywhere, finds the Pudgeons ones, and brings them back to you. Nice. So it's so much better than it was, except when the electricity goes off.
Okay. Anyway. All right. So I'm going to transition you from the library because this is connected because you were nominated for a great honor because of your service to our community through your library. Would you tell us about that?
Yes. That Scott Witzig was, I'm pretty sure it was Scott. That was the chamber head. Mm-hmm. And my daughter, Susan, said to the other children, we need to nominate Mom for Parade Marshal. So that was in 1995. Mm-hmm.
Parade Marshal of the Morton Pumpkin Festival.
The Morton Pumpkin Festival. And it was pretty unusual for a woman, And I always thought, I didn't do as much service as a lot of other people did. I think they just needed a woman the year that they got me. But they did. And it was such a surprise because that was the tradition. The parade marshal from before, plus the chamber head, plus the people that had nominated the person, kind of all sneaked in. And they would have balloons and flowers and say, surprise, you're the new parade marshal. I was so excited. Well, my children were so excited they wanted to ride in the convertible with me, and I was thrilled. So we went over to Peoria to a wholesale candy thing, and we bought $70 worth of candy and I thought, I hope that's going to be enough. Oh, my kids had such a good time. I did too. I threw out candy to the kids and I yelled, go to the library rules, yay, the library rules. And I was laughing and having such a good time, and we ran out of candy at Main Street. That's how crazy it was. $70 was no way big enough.
No, you have to pace yourself, for sure.
You have to totally pace yourself, and I have no idea what it costs now in 2018. Oh, big bucks, I think, big bucks. But it was such an honor. It was. And you know what? I got to be it twice. You know why?
Why?
Because for the 50th Pumpkin Festival, the parade marshals were all the living parade marshals that were still left. And I got to ride in the bus.
Oh,
And yet some of the other people thought I was pretty loud. I can't imagine. But I was looking out the window and I'd see little kids in my toddler time, or I'd see Mr. So-and-so, or I'd say, come down to the library. Art shows in the library. You know?
Well, the whole town, everyone you know, is sitting on the street watching you go by.
It's true. It's so true. And it was so much fun. Oh, I had such a wonderful time. So 2 times. Two times I got to be a parade marshal. Whoa.
That's great.
It was. It really was. So anyway.
So I know that you go to Trinity Church. Could you tell us a little bit about your church?
Yes, I can. Our church is celebrating its 40th. So we started in whatever that would be, 1978, I think, there. And we were trying to follow God really a lot. And we were praying and we were saying, you know, God, is there something that you want us to do? And the impression that we got as we prayed was, you have been sitting inside this church, getting all this wonderful teaching. Get outside these walls. Get outside these walls. And we said, oh, okay, how do we want to do that? So we thought, well, how could we serve people that don't know about Jesus? And we investigated like a clothing exchange, like a preschool, many things. But the one that really seemed to fit best was a food pantry. Mm-hmm. Because even though people said, not in Morton, are you kidding? People don't go hungry in Morton, not in this area. Well, yes, they do. They do. There are a lot of people at poverty level and just they lose their jobs or whatever. And they need that. Now, what happened was we prayed about it and the elders approved it and said, okay, we'll start by giving out the food from our own church fellowship hall. Mm-hmm. Well, we got so big that we knew we were going to have more space because, number one, there was no place to put the food. You know, the stuff we're going to put that in a normal church as all this food that we're collecting because we got some from Midwest Food Bank. We get some from government surplus. We get some, like Walmart gives us all of the eggs that have a cracked egg in a carton. Oh. They cannot pay, it doesn't profit them to pay a person of theirs to go through each carton of eggs, pick out the cracked ones, take new ones and put them in and wipe up any spills or whatever. So they just said, we're going to give you all the eggs that have even a crack in the carton. People who are bread drivers from bakeries around here, warehouses, they will give to us, for example, the bread man goes out, he does his delivery into the grocery store, he sees how much room there is on the shelf, he puts what he can on the shelf, and then when he comes out, he's got extra bread on his truck that he's not going to be able to use. So we hooked up with a gentleman, and he said, it's just going to be destroyed. I will give it to you. So he did. So he'd be coming home from his delivery, and we would meet him at a crossroads or whatever, and we'd transfer, and then he'd go, on back to the warehouse and so forth. Well, the company, the warehouse or whatever, the bakery, was saying, you need to come back to the warehouse, we thought. there goes our bread supply. No. They wanted him to come back, unload his extra bread. They called us. We get all the drivers extra bread. We are so blessed in this area. It is so wonderful that people will share, and they will think of ways to help the people that need this stuff. So we're called a provisional food pantry because we cannot guarantee that every Saturday, because we distribute on Saturday, that a person would get enough food to meet all the nutritional needs of their family. You know, sometimes we won't have as many eggs.
Right.
Sometime we always have bread. Praise God, that's so good. And cereal, but vegetables. So, now lately we've been getting. There's been a person who grows organic stuff, and they've been giving us stuff. So we're like, where are we going to put all this food? Well, our church prayed about it and went together and said, we will build a big building that is half warehouse to put the food in, store it safely because we have to maintain the safety rules, and then the rest of it will be a nice fellowship hall to serve the people in. So when they come to our food pantry, they pick up their paper that tells us that they still live in Tazewell County, because we are Tazewell County. If they live outside of Tazewell County, we can serve them one time, but then we give them a list of where would food pantries be in their county. So the people come in, they sit, they go to the snack table, they get drinks and snacks, they come and sit at the tables, and they just chill till the people out in the warehouse fill their order up. Their order is filled up not by what they want, but by how many people. We have one group that it's a 5-unit group. That means there are 10 or more people in that family.
Wow.
And what I've learned is that people in this area, when they are poor, struggling, they invite other people into their homes.
Well, yeah.
And they share what they've got.
Yeah.
And so we can supply that. So while they're sitting at these tables, then we have folks that come around and say, is there anything we could pray for you about? Do you need a job? Is your back hurt? Or, people will say, I have cancer. Or my brother-in-law fell down and broke his hip. And we always ask permission, and they do. So it's a wonderful ministry, but the neatest thing about it is it's called Community Harvest. And when we opened it, we thought that it meant, the fields are white with, ready for harvest. We'll harvest that community. No. It's the Morton community that is being harvested because of the people. Like on the first Saturday, the Methodists come and help us distribute the food. And on the second, it's the Trinity people that are responsible mostly. And on the third one, it's Blessed Sacrament that comes and helps us distribute. And Harvest Bible Chapel helps on the 4th. And on the 5th, everybody that's free comes.
Wow.
And we, the body of Christ in this community is, and the reason that I want to mention this is because it is the flavor of Morton. That is what happens in Morton. People help people. And the churches don't fight with each other. They cooperate with each other, which is wonderful. So I'm really happy about that. And the number of missionaries that have been sent out from this community by the various churches, fantastic. Wonderful. Many young people have, many older people go out as well.
So have you been on a mission?
I've been on 2 or 3.
Yes.
I actually was a Spanish teacher in a former life before I became a librarian, and so I have Spanish. And so I went to Mexico. We founded there was a little mission church that we were connected with, and we would go, and it's in the community of La Peñita, which is on the west coast of Mexico, and it is a resort community where the Mexican people go.
Ah.
So it would be, it would have a lot of people coming and going and so forth, and we enjoyed going there a lot.
Okay.
So, yeah. So what else have we got left on our list here?
So the library, missions, community harvest, and parade marshal.
I think that's good. How much time have we got? Oh,
Okay. Well, I want to just touch on what's your favorite thing that you like to do in Morton?
oh my gosh. Talk to people. Find out about people. Love people, serve people. Just want to know about people.
Are there any particular Morton characters that you would like to expound on?
That I would love to expound. Burdell Hall, who's going to be he's going to be interviewed. He's a wonderful guy. But yeah, Burdell, well, there are so many people who really give their all for this community. Really, really give their all. And Burdell, he went to Bradley. He was a teacher. He was on the library board for over 25 years. He spoke. He was with the Morton. He worked at the Morton Pottery. Oh, we're going to get him on tape about that. So yeah, he and his wife Doris have been really mainstays here. Scott Witzig is another one I'd like to say. I remember him. He learned to ride a unicycle.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, a one-wheeler with a long, tall,
Yes.
And he would ride that when we had our vacation Bible schools at the church and just entertain the kids, down the aisle. He would come on his unicycle.
I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
I have a picture of him on his unicycle.
Yes.
I have to look for that.
Yes, yeah. The Witzig names are big. I know Harold and Jean are both gone now, but what an influence they had and what a legacy they left in their children. Scott and Phil and Anne and just so many. In fact, Scott's sister and her husband were with missionary pilots in Irian Jaya. People like that. And teachers in this town. The teachers in this, when I came, I had, a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old. Mrs. Smith took my Kathy at 8 years old, and here Kathy came in June before she went into 3rd grade. Iowa City taught people cursive writing in 3rd grade. Morton taught it in 2nd grade. So there came Kathy not knowing. Did this teacher say, I'm sorry, I'm on vacation, I can't help this little girl? She dug through things, she got workbooks, she taught us how to help her, and she let her print all of her homework and for the first 6 months.
Wow.
Until she really got used to writing in cursive. So just super, really super. Gordon Schwenk, 6th grade teacher. Sharon Schwarzenberger, 6th grade teacher. Now my kids went to Lincoln, so I'm just speaking about them. But oh boy, I still see the teachers are absolutely phenomenal in this town. Just really love their kids. It's not just a job. They love the kids, and they really are trying to help them every way they can. So really, really super. Miss Rudin, who just retired this year, was my girls' track coach.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, really good. Plus, then that makes me think of all the Gary Watson has been on the chain crew, the football chain crew, the guys that mark off the downs and all that, for about as many years or maybe more than I worked at the library.
Wow.
And he's going to lay it down this year and let somebody else get that. But that's just, and all the people that work with the Morton band is so fantastic. I get to hear that, I hear that metronome, and I know band is coming out, band is coming out. It's really, because I live close to the high school, my house is close, which I love. Another thing I love about Morton is the wide streets, so that we can walk in the mornings. When I first came here, I was very puzzled by that. I would say, what are all these people doing walking around the streets? They're just walking in the streets. And I really realized Morton was trying to stay healthy. Morton was trying to stay beautiful, I was really, at first, now I walk every day for half an hour.
You've become one of them.
I have become one of them. So Morton is a very unique community. It's a community that gives. It's a community that it really is together. It's cohesive.
Yes.
And, some people have said, well, it's hard to break in here. No, it's not. If you get involved with community projects, you'll know the people a lot.
Yeah.
Because Morton's a wonderful time, and I'm awfully glad the Lord put me here.
All right.
So,
great.
I think maybe we're done.
Okay. Wonderful.
Don't you?